You know that feeling at the beach when you're building a sandcastle with your kids? You don't just build one tower, you build a whole city. One tower for your career, one for the car in the driveway, one for the way you carry yourself into a meeting so your boss thinks you have it all together. You pack the walls as tight as you can, you step back and it looks good. But then you look up to the tide and it's coming in. It doesn't matter how hard you worked. It doesn't matter how good it looked. The water, it doesn't care. Most of us spend our 30s building towers and we're exhausted from it because the tower needs constant maintenance. The career needs another win. The car needs another upgrade. The version of yourself you're presenting the world, it just needs to be managed. And somewhere in the quiet, after a good day, after a win, after everyone's gone home, the tide comes in anyways. And that feeling shows up. Is this all that there is? Listen to what the writer of Ecclesiastes says. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity on the hearts of man, yet they cannot fathom the work that God has done from the beginning to the end. Did you catch that? He sets eternity in your hearts. Just like the tide is coming in for the sandcastle, time is coming for us all. The car, the career, the tower you're building, none of it lasts. But the longing in your heart, the hunger for something more, that's not a flaw. God put that there, and it's pointing you somewhere the tide can never reach. The question is, are you paying attention to it?